Hey everyone, it's your fellow gamer Clawland here with Left Hand Reviews, and this is the very first episode of my mobile gaming review series. That's where we are going to take a look at some board games that have been implemented on mobile platforms such as Android or iOS, and I'll just go over how the implementation goes, if it's true to the board game, does it work well, is it buggy, etc. I probably am not going to go over the rules on most of the games unless they're relatively simple, because there's a lot of great reviews out there for these games already. I just want to show you if is it worth dropping, $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15 or more dollars. As you can see here, we're going to take a look at Dominant Species, which is a relatively complex worker placement, area control, Euro game. And one of the biggest complaints of this game, it has a long setup time and it has tons of bits and is therefore very fiddly. So this is an excellent candidate for a video game implementation. So again, I'm not going to go too much into the rules of the game. I'm just going to show you how the app works, and we'll keep this video nice and short. And hopefully by the end you'll be able to decide if it is worth dropping the, I think it's $5 on the App Store to purchase it. So again, this is on iOS. This is an iPad. I do not believe this is available on Android yet. I do have an Android tablet as well, so for various Android games, we can go over those as well. So this is what you're going to see when you first boot up the game. You have the option to start a new game, to resume an existing game, join a LAN game. There's some settings, rules, and a tutorial. New game resume is pretty straightforward. Join is join a LAN game. This does not have Game Center integration or any sort of internet or web game integration. This is only for local area networks, which I think is a big detractor for it, because I mean, if you have two people in the same house or same room or in a coffee shop or whatever, you might as well, in my opinion, play the game, the actual board game, rather than the app. But hopefully that's something that they're working on implementing in a later release. Now if we go into the settings here, basically all you do here is you can enter in your name, hopefully you can read that, and turn the sound on and off. That's really all there is in the setup, settings. Okay, now in the rules are very, very well done. You have basically a table of contents here, and you can select, say, elements, and then it's going to tell you all about it, all about the various elements. There's plenty of examples. It's laid out very, very well, just like the rule book is. So it's really good. If you want to read through the rules, you can do it right through there. There's also a tutorial. The tutorial does a pretty good job of giving you a high-level overview of the game, and well enough that you can get tossed into your first main game without too much trouble. But it's not going to teach you everything you need to know, just enough to get into it, and then you'll kind of do some on-the-job training, so to speak, as you play. So let's start a new game. It's going to show your name here. You can determine whether you want this to be a LAN game. It does have options for some of the alternate rules. You can just leave the default colors for all the pieces. You can randomize the colors, or you have players choose their own colors. Assign the animals at random, so unless you want to choose a particular animal or just have those randomized, you have random earth setup versus the default setup. And you can use the 2 or 3 player alternate rules if you so choose. It also has a nice short game option, such as removing 1 action pawn for each player, or removing a certain amount of dominance cards in case you want to play a short game. Now here you're going to see all the players that have joined the game. Of course, right now it's just me, and I'm going to add some local players. Right now there are only 2 AI settings, I guess easy and medium. This advanced or hard one is not clickable yet. Maybe that's something that they are looking to implement in a later release. So we'll add a couple players here. Alright, and then you can turn Draw C on and off. Click Done. And here we are. So the game is going to be pretty straightforward. Just like you would expect, you have the game board here. You have the areas where you place your action pawns for the various actions here on the right hand side, and you see each player, the number of action pawns and species they have left, as well as the elements that are on their player board. At the top here is where you can see all the other pieces of the game board. This leftmost one is going to show you the cards here that are face up. that would be face up on the game board. Here you can see the land tiles, and then this will show you the other miscellaneous things such as eliminated species, the bonus points, food chain, and the various tile scoring points. Right now it's telling me, Andrew, choose a vacant action space on the action display because we're in the stage of the game where we're just placing our action pawns. So let's say I want to put it there, and you can see the other players are going, the computer players. And then it's back to me again, and maybe I'll go there. And as you can see, the AI is very quick, which is nice. It doesn't take a lot of time to calculate what it's going to do. The other nice thing is if you are just learning the game and you forget, wait, what is adaptation again? You can click on it there, and it's going to bring up the rules section on adaptation, which is really, really nice. All right, now we're at the action execution phase. And it's going to start from the top to the bottom rather, just like in the main game. And it's going to ask you, well, do you want to execute this action? Yes. And it will execute the action. And obviously with initiative, I can place my action pawn somewhere else. So I don't know, let's place it down there. It's going to move to adaptation. Again, now it's to me. Do I want to execute the action? Yes. And I pick that, and it's going to add it to my player area here. Selecting abundance, it's going to show me all the different places on the map where I can place it. So let's see here. Again, I'm not really paying attention to what I'm doing. I'm just kind of showing you how it works. So for speciation, I put it here. It's only going to highlight the only places where the little grain symbol is available to be selected. So I will select this one. And then it's going to tell me, okay, it's going to rotate through everything that's touching that grain space, of course. It's going to tell you, well, how many species do you want to move there? Or speciate there. And it's only going to let you do up to the maximum number allowed because of the type of land space it is. So 0 to 3, I'll do all 3 there. And then you could see this one is flashing, and I'll do all 3 there. And it populates them there. Instead of having multiple cubes, you're only going to have one cube of your color with just a number in it that tells you how many species you have in a particular land tile. So now you can see it's my turn at domination. It's going to ask me which tile I want to score. And of course it's going to gray out the ones that I can't select because they've already been selected. Alright, it's going to score accordingly, bring up the cards that are remaining. I can select a card, and we'll just follow what the card says and go from there. And that's all there is to it. Now we're just back to placing action pawns again. Another thing that you can do here is you can pinch and zoom, just like you would expect on an iOS device or mobile platform. And there you go. That's Dominant Species for the iPad. So what do I think? I definitely think this is 100% worth the money to buy it. I think it's $5. It's well worth it. The reason for that is because it is an excellent implementation of the game. It's really easy to learn, especially with that tutorial. It's got all the rules right there that you can click right on each of the various action spaces and see what exactly that is for easy reference. The AI is quick, so you're not sitting there waiting. It does have the ability for local multiplayer games. And overall, it gets rid of all the fiddliness to the board game. Instead of taking 3 or 4 hours to play the board game with 5 players, you can play through this, at least with the computer players, in less than an hour, which is really, really nice. Now, the gripes that I have for it are as follows. One, like I mentioned before, it only has the LAN capability. It really, really, really needs an internet game capability. I'm not a huge fan of Apple's Game Center because it's asynchronous. But I mean, that would still work. I guess it's the standard, but they have to have some sort of, over the internet play. The other thing is that the AI is rather weak. I have really yet to lose a game playing against all that middle level AI. So as you become a more experienced player, you're probably not going to see much of a challenge, but it's still fun to play and practice regardless. And the last thing I have a gripe about is I showed you the pinch and zoom, which is really, really nice, except for the fact that it zooms the whole action area here, which I think is really silly. I think this should stay static and just be able to pinch and zoom here, the land tiles, in case you want to zoom in on a particular one, but still see the action display over here. So I'm not sure why they did that, but again, those are my only gripes, and they're relatively minor. So Dominant Species for the iPad, I would definitely give this a thumbs up.